Hey everyone, welcome to Post to Post. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you are new, my name is Neil, and this is the first video of the 8 series previews that we're going to do on the channel, going through some statistics from the season, head-to-head statistics specifically, some notable options or some notable callouts really to both teams. I'm going to make my prediction and possibly how many games, and we'll go from there for every single matchup. So if you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button so you catch all these future videos. Then I'm going to do a bracket prediction all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals, releasing my Stanley Cup winner. Then I'm going to do another bracket, which is like what I want to actually happen. And in last year's version of those two videos, my want bracket actually did better than my prediction bracket, so that's interesting. So there's lots of content coming in the next couple of days prior to the playoffs starting. Tomorrow night, I'm filming this on a Sunday. You'll see this on a Sunday. So let's get into this. Let's talk numbers, okay? Statistics sometimes matter, sometimes they don't. I'm going to put up a graphic on the screen here so we can kind of break this down a little bit. So we've got points, goals for, goals against, goal differential, power play percentage, penalty kill percentage, record versus, home record, away record, and last 10 games. There's lots of other important statistics, but I felt like these were kind of the main ones. And this is the format we're going to go through on every single one of these videos, so there'll be some consistency from video to video. So Carolina versus Boston, points 116 versus 107. Carolina gets the win there. Goals for 278 versus 255. Another win for Carolina. In fact, they win every single category here. Goals against 202 to 220. Goal differential plus 20, plus 76 rather, versus plus 35. Power play 22%, just slightly over the 21.2% of Boston. Penalty kill, an incredible, absolutely incredible 88% versus 81.3%, which is actually not bad either. Record versus, Carolina's beat Boston 3 times this year. Boston has not beat Carolina this season at all. Take that for what it's worth, but it is a notable. Home record 29-8-4 for Carolina, better than the 26-13-2 for Boston. The away record is also better, 25-12-4 versus 25-13-3. I mean, those are essentially identical for the most part. So, but I mean, technically, Carolina is the winner in that category. And then in the last 10 games, this is a very underrated thing to look at, in my opinion. Carolina is 8-2-0 in their last 10, and Boston is 6-4-0. You know, still a favorable record, but I always like to talk about the last 10 because I think back to certain years. We'll take, I think it was 2017, the playoffs in 2017. It was Chicago versus Nashville in the first round. Chicago was the top seed. Nashville was the 8th seed or the last seed or whatever to get in. They faced each other, and Nashville was coming in hot. Like everything was working for Nashville, okay? Chicago was playing good, but everything was working for Nashville. They ended up sweeping Chicago. I always look at the last 10 because you want to pay attention to who's coming hot into the playoffs. What's their confidence level like? That's really important to me. So let's go through a couple notables for each team that's not statistic related for the most part. I just want to call out a couple of things for each team. And I'm going to be looking this way because it's on my screen just to keep myself on track. So let's start off with Carolina. Sebastian Aho, obviously 81 points, and of his 81 points, he's got 13 power play goals. That's huge, okay? That is definitely something to take note. If Boston's on the penalty kill, they're going to want to keep their eye on a Sebastian Aho specifically. And depth, like Carolina has incredible depth. 9 players over 40 points. 9 players over 40 points. Incredible. Tara Vinen, 65 points total. 31 of those points are on the power play. Like, Boston's got some work to do on the penalty kill, okay? They need to pay attention. Like, their penalty kill needs to be better than it's ever been before. Fredericton Anderson. Here's a question mark for me. So Anderson is, I don't think he's played a game since the middle of April. So it's been a while, I guess. And been a while is relative, but in the world of hockey, if you haven't played in 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks, that's a while. So I don't know what Anderson's status is. Is he going to start this series? There's been no word as I'm filming this. I don't know. That's a big question mark. He's played very well this season, so I'm not sure what's going to happen there. That actually impacts my prediction in this series. So Ranta is their backup. Numbers are decent, but Ranta's been a little bit like this in his career, so I don't think there's a ton of confidence in him compared to Anderson. So the goaltending in Carolina is the biggest question mark for me. If Anderson was in net, he was 100% healthy, I could say, without question, Carolina is my pick in probably 5 or 6. I don't know now. Like, there's a huge question mark for me in net in Carolina, and I'm a little bit worried about it. Let's talk about Boston. So the first thing to discuss is probably Marchand, 80 points in 70 games. You can hate him all you want. I don't like him. But the fact that can still produce at that level and also be a nuisance, and I think it's really important, I guess, for a team, especially in the playoffs. Like, that's kind of playoff hockey that Brad Marchand plays. So very good player, obviously. Depth. I mean, you can talk about Carolina's depth all you want, but Boston's got some depth too. 8 players over 40 points, which is incredible. Bergeron, 62% in the face-off circle. Massive. Like, this is a stat that gets overlooked so much. Bergeron is incredible in the dot. And you're in the playoffs. There's going to be defensive zone draws where you want to throw out your best face-off guy. Some teams, your best face-off guy is 51%, 52%, 53%. Bergeron, 62% this year in the face-off dot, and that is not an uncommon stat for him. He's one of the best face-off, he's best centerman rather in the league. Okay, let's switch over to net here. We've got Swayman, we've got Allmark. Both have been great, I think, this year. If you want to talk about goalie tandems in the last 5-6 years, you can think of some good ones that come to mind. Is Swayman and Allmark really one that comes to mind? Probably not. Two relatively unknown guys in the NHL. And they've been killing it this year. They've been doing pretty good. So I've been impressed by both of them, and I feel actually pretty confident in Boston's goaltending. Boston needs to capitalize on the power play. That's my next note. They have this like switch, and when Boston gets going on the power play, they're like it's such a joy to watch. And I think if Boston's going to win this series, they have to produce on the power play. They're not going to win this series 5-on-5. It's just not going to happen. I strongly feel like Boston, in order for them to win this series, they're going to have to score on the power play consistently and abundantly. Next, Taylor Hall, for me, needs to be elite. He needs to elevate that second line, and that second line needs to be as good or better than the first line, because Carolina can shut you down real easy, so you need multiple lines rolling on Boston. I think they can do it, but Taylor Hall's the key on that second line. And I just want to speak a little bit more to the depth on Boston. You got Howlett and DeBrusk, two really good depth players. DeBrusk, for me, he's my favorite player on the team, but there's some question marks behind DeBrusk. His career has gone like this. I don't know what DeBrusk we're going to get. He's looked really good in specific areas of the season so far this year. I'm going to predict that we see a very good DeBrusk in this series. Now on to my final prediction. Who do I think is going to win this series? Well, I'll tell you who I'm cheering for. I'm going to be cheering for the Carolina Hurricanes. At heart, obviously, I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan. It hurts to even wear this, but I collect jerseys, as you can see in the background. But I'm going to choose Carolina. I want them to win, and I'm going to predict them to win. So Carolina is my official prediction here. I'm going to guess that this series actually goes like 6 or 7, no less than 6. I think because of the net situation in Carolina, I have a lot of worries, I guess. I think a lot of people are saying Carolina in 4, Carolina in 5, based on statistics, based on versus this year, and based on just general team makeup of the Carolina Hurricanes. And I'm gonna go in the minority section. I think Boston actually has a chance here in this series, and it wouldn't surprise me if Boston won. I'm still gonna predict Carolina. I still want them to win, but it wouldn't surprise me if Boston won. So that's really how I feel about this series. And they've got playoff history, okay? This is going to be an excellent series to watch, regardless of who you're cheering for. Just as a strictly hockey fan, you got to tune into this series. I'm definitely going to be tuning into this one. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Who do you think is going to win this series? What does Boston need to do to secure the win? What does Carolina need to do to secure the win? Would love to hear your thoughts. I read all the comments. Can't wait to hear from you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And like I said at the beginning, all the series previews are coming up. If you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, and I'll talk to you real soon. Adios.